buckle up. It's time to take the trip, buckle up.
You're listening to the Take the Trip podcast, where you'll find real talk and zero filter. I'm your host, Kendra Fogarty, and today I am here with Patty Gill from Gills On Wheels. They're empty nesters that now RV travel full-time. However, their nomadic lifestyle started decades ago because her husband Shane was in the Air Force, which took them across over 50 countries and 5 continents, which is just incredible. So thank you so much for being on, Patty. I'm so excited to learn more about your journey. I've met a bunch of our guests in person before having them on, but I haven't yet had the pleasure of crossing paths with you, and I just really, really appreciate you taking the time to come on and chat with us and share your stories.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's kind of wild hearing somebody else tell your story, a little bit. So I'm like, oh, you just kind of forget, like sometimes, like, oh my gosh, I've been to a lot of places. So
Did I paraphrase it okay? Is there anything you need
yes.
to add or clarify? Okay, perfect.
No. You had
Yeah.
said it perfectly. Yeah.
Great. So first, I am really curious if you had always known and planned that you would full-time travel, like when the Air Force journey was over, or when did that dream spark and ignite?
So I can't remember what year it was. We were stationed in North Dakota. So for majority of our career in the military, we were overseas. Well, one of the assignments was in Georgia, and that's where Shane met me. And so we got lucky enough to get an assignment to North Dakota. I say that like kind of. Actually, we loved North Dakota. It was very cold, but we met some wonderful people there. But anyway, so speaking of, like, some of our friends there had RVs and they would go RVing all the time. And we were like, oh, well, we're traveling with the military. We don't need an RV. Let's just get a tent. So we tent camped a few times. And even in July in North Dakota, it was too hot for a tent. So we were like, okay, everyone had an RV except us. We had a tent. So we're like, let's go look. You know how that old saying goes? Let's just go look at an RV. And what happened that day? We came home with an RV. We had our very first RV was a travel trailer. I believe it was about, I don't know, 25 feet or 30 feet. I can't remember. We had the travel trailer. We would go camping all the time with our friends in North Dakota. And we just kind of started talking about, we actually had a family member that did it many years before that. And we were like, oh my gosh, we could do that one day, when we retire, once we're in our 70s or whatever and retire, then we can do that. Sell everything and go travel in an RV. So yeah, probably 20 years ago, make a long story a little bit shorter. Yeah, about 20 years ago is whenever we started talking about it, but we were not planning to do it so soon. We had planned to do it much later in the future.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that's incredible. So first, I want to circle back to North Dakota really quickly because that was hilarious. We went there for the first time this year, and we actually absolutely loved Medora, and my kids loved Medora. But then they were like talking about moving there, and I'm like, you don't understand. I'm like, in the winter time, it is going to be 100 degrees colder, literally 100 degrees colder than where we're going to be. So gosh, surviving those winters, that must have been brutal. But yeah, North Dakota, beautiful state in the summer.
I agree.
And absolutely amazing that, you had that dream for like 20 years. So like, what did it feel like when you first hit the road full time?
It was like very surreal for a while. Like I kept thinking, oh, we've got to go back to the house, even though we had sold the house, but it was still like, is this really happening? Are we really doing this? Like, yeah, it took a while before we were really like, okay, this is our life now. Because, which a lot of people do when they first go full time. They're thinking, oh, this is my vacation. You kind of treat it as a vacation when you first start out. If you keep doing that, you probably gain a lot of weight, which I did because we were eating out all the time. And then B, you're just moving so fast that you will get burnt out. So we were like, okay, we've got to slow it down. We've got to treat this. This is our life now. It's our life. It's not just a vacation.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
It took us a while.
Yeah, that's so relatable. like
Mhm.
on all the levels. I remember how surreal it felt, but also I'd wake up in the morning and my first thought would be for several months, like, okay, well, like when are we going back home? Like, when do I need to pack all this stuff up? Because we were weekenders before we were full
Yes.
timers. So it kept feeling like I was going to have to go unpack the rig and like clear out the fridge and stuff. And then I'd be like, oh, wait, never. Like, this is our home now. And the overeating. Yes. And for me, one thing was actually I was drinking too much because I like thought I was on
Oh,
vacation. And then I
same. Yep.
like, after a while, I was like, why am I thinking I should be drinking like every day? This is so bizarre. Luckily, we've
Yes.
gotten a hold of that. But yeah, that was just also relatable. So also your timing was really unique because you started planning in 2019, right? And you wanted to leave in
Mhm.
like early 2020, but we know the whole world had different plans there. So tell us
Yes.
a little bit about that journey. Like, how did you pivot? Like, what happened? How were you feeling when all of a sudden it's just like hard stop on hold?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had sold almost everything in our house. Luckily, we did still have our beds and a few pieces of furniture. And we went on an RV trip actually during spring break of March of 2020. Our house was supposed to go on the market in April of 2020. We were down at spring break. We even had hardly had any groceries in the house because we were trying to get rid of, all the in a house you have like pantry full of all these staples and things that you don't really need. So we were like pared down in that as well. We hardly had any groceries. And everything, yeah, went dead stop. I told Shane, I was like, we're never going to sell our house. We're never, I'm like, we're never going to hit the road. It's not going to happen. Like, that's exactly what we thought. We were down at the beach in Texas and we went to a little small grocery store and like stocked up on groceries and toilet paper and everything. And then went back to our house in San Antonio. That's when everything just shut down. I was working from home still at the time. Our oldest was in an apartment. Our youngest was in college. They shut his college down. We told both of our sons, we're like, hey, get all your stuff, grab all the extra toilet paper, any paper products, all your food that you have, and just move back in with us. So that's what they did. Luckily, we still had the house at that time. They moved back in, brought all their food. It was really amazing, like months of us all just being together again. I treasure that because we would have never gotten that. I mean, obviously, what happened was horrible. Lots of horrible things happened, but it was nice to like bake together. We were playing games together. We were doing puzzles, all kinds of stuff. So it was awesome. So that was what we did. We pivoted. Boys moved back in with us, our sons. Then in end of September, we put the house back on the market. Our youngest son went back to college. Our oldest went back to his apartment. And we're like, all right, let's put it back on the market. And it sold in a day or two. It was
Wow.
super, super fast that it sold. Yeah. It was that time where the market was just booming. Sellers sold it pretty fast and were able to go full time just a few months later than we had planned.
Okay. Oh my gosh. So I love what you were saying about COVID because as horrible, obviously, and tragic it is, like there are those silver linings. And
Mhm.
I feel similarly where I'm like, there was a lot that I learned from that and a lot of special memories that our family was able to create at that time. But then it always feels kind of wrong because I'm like, it was, horrible for many,
Right.
many
Yeah.
people. But then I think it is okay to just focus on like a silver lining of something that is that terrible. Definitely wouldn't want to go back to that time. I also
Right.
love how it was like the kids can boomerang, you're like empty nesters, and you're like, you can come back home, but you're going to bring your own toilet paper.
Yeah.
Like, yes, that's
Everything
a
that
requirement.
they're running out of in
Yes.
the stores, we're like, bring it.
Yeah, yeah. And oh my gosh. And that's actually like awesome too that you were able to then get that extra funding from
Mhm.
selling your home to hit the road.
Yes.
So that, yeah, it's a pleasant surprise for sure. We were like right at the very tail end where prices were super high and then they had like a cliff, and we're like, oh God, we have to sell this ASAP, or we might not be able to make this work if we don't get what we need here on this house, what we were planning when we were kind of scheming the whole thing. And then it kind of took that nosedive. All right. So your travels have taken you all over. I really want to hear a little bit about Alaska. So tell us, like, what RV did you take there? How many repairs did you have to complete? How insane are those roads? Like, we want to hear all about it.
Yeah, so we started out summer of, I guess it was 24, just last summer. And we started out in Florida. My nephew was graduating from high school and I had to be there for that. So we drove from Florida to Alaska. I mean, can't get much further south.
No.
I mean, if we'd been in the Keys, sure, but we
Oh,
were
that's funny.
Florida all the way to Alaska. At the time, we had a truck camper. We bought the small truck camper, which if people don't know, truck camper is the kind, it like slides into the back of the bed of your truck. It was, I believe, total like 16 feet long. I mean, it fit in the bed of in the back of my husband's truck. So it's not very big. It's a very small camper. It did have a slide out. So we took that with us to Alaska. We wanted to take our very first time something very small so that we could do there's tons of boondocking, free camping in Alaska. And so we wanted to be able to get to some of the really good places and stuff and not have to worry about, oh, we're too large or whatever. I highly recommend taking a small one the first time. Not saying you have to, because we saw tons of large fifth wheels. There were Class A's, there were small van, I mean, every kind of RV you can think of. And the roads are pretty bad. They are pretty bad. So all the way through Canada, they're good until you get up to the northern Yukon, until you're getting close to the Alaska border. Right when you get past, there's a place called Destruction Bay, which is very fitting because right past Destruction Bay is where the roads start getting really, really bad.
Oh, man.
But even my husband, though, Shane, he still says, I don't think they were as bad as you say they were, or or whatever. But as long as you go slow, as long as you look out, because there will be little flags or cones on the side of the road to let you know that they call it a frost heave. So it's from the roads freezing, thawing out, and all that. And what the road is actually on, whatever they're made on in Alaska, they kind of move, I guess. And so when it freezes in the winter and then thaws out right in the spring, they kind of move a little, I guess. And anyway, it makes lots and lots of potholes.
Oh,
And
my gosh.
when we first got there, they were trying to fix the potholes, and a lot of the roads that we were on, there was zero pavement. Like they had scraped the whole pavement off. So it's just like a washboard that you're driving over.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
yeah.
Wow.
But
Yeah. That must have been an adventure.
yes. We got very lucky though. We had no issues. It was 3 of us campers that went together, 3 camper itself. None of us luckily had any issues with anything. On our way back, we did have to get a tire replaced, but I don't really know if that had anything to do with the road or it was just driving it
It's
for
fine.
yeah.
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 Okay. Oh my gosh, that makes
Mhm.
so much sense. So the truck camper, that sounds like a really smart way to do it, right? Because
Yeah.
I have heard a lot of stories about when you're taking a big rig there. I do have a question about the truck camper, though. We did go in some at an RV show. My kid got such a big kick out of it. However, the toilets are like in the middle of the kitchen. Is that,
Um,
yeah. So, like, did you have a private bathroom space in your truck camper, or how did that
we
work?
did. Yeah, we did. Ours had a separate bathroom. It had a door to it, just like in our fifth wheel. The only difference is ours was a wet bath. So, in case anyone listening is not familiar with a wet bath, that means that you can sit on the toilet, you can shower, all at the same time.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Okay. That makes sense. But at least it's like a separate room. Cause like
yes.
when we went in these and it was in the kitchen, I was like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah, no.
hard no. Like
Yeah,
that would
no.
never.
We need my husband and I, like, we share a lot of things, but yeah, that's still our private time. Like
Yes.
you
Yeah.
need a
Oh my
separate space
gosh.
for your
For
private
sure.
time.
I totally agree. Oh my
Uh-huh.
gosh. So, how crowded were the campgrounds or the boondocking areas once you got to Alaska?
So the campgrounds themselves, we did stay at a few of them and they were pretty packed. The campgrounds were very packed. I would suggest if you are wanting to stay in a campground that you book at least, I would say at least 6 months out if you can, especially in a national park. Like when we stayed at Denali National Park, we did make reservations ahead of time. For us, that was the only campground that we reserved early, except for the national parks in Canada. We did also reserve those campgrounds early. In Alaska, if you can't find a campground or whatever, though, you can just pull over and boondock almost anywhere. Like
Wow.
there's like, you'll just be driving down the road and there's like a little kind of pull off on the side of the road type thing, like, or a little parking lot almost. And there would be a rest area and then there would be a parking lot and you can just park right there. So that was the good thing about Alaska. Lots of free camping almost anywhere. Like it
Yeah.
was, yeah,
Okay.
really nice but even but the boondocking spots themselves, we never had any place that was like super crowded or anything. I mean, there was
Okay.
always usually people around. There were a few places that we stayed where there was no one around. Yeah, most of the time there was a few, but never like, oh, well, this is too crowded or whatever.
Okay. That's good to know. And did you
Hmm.
ever share your boondocking space with a grizzly bear? Because that's
No,
just
we
what I
did not.
picture. Okay. I just
No,
picture that there's like grizzly bears knocking on your door and stuff.
that is exactly what I thought as well, and that's exactly why every time I left the camper, I had my bear spray with me, but we never even there were some places where somebody, like, told us, "Oh, there was a grizzly here yesterday or a bear here yesterday," whatever it was. Never when we were out camping or boondocking did we see a bear. We
Okay.
saw only time we saw a bear when we were actually hunting for the bear. Like, we wanted to go
Oh.
find them, not hunting, like, to shoot them, but hunting just to find them, and there was some areas that we went to where we knew there was gonna be bear, like, at where the salmon was running, we knew, "Okay, that's where the bears are gonna be," and that's where we found them.
Oh, that
But
must have been amazing.
yeah, that was really cool. But besides that, we never I mean, people do, but we did not ever see any bear.
Okay, that's super helpful. I'm very interested in going to Alaska, but I can't figure out the right fit for how we might get there. I'm like, would
Mhm.
a cruise be a little bit better? But then you're so limited in what you'll experience in Alaska. But
Yeah.
I don't know if our rig could make it. But then I also heard that you can resell RVs in Alaska for
Mhm.
crazy high. So then I'm like, can we
Yeah.
drag this thing over there? Go ahead and sell it there and fly
Mhm.
back? I don't know. That might be fun.
Yes, we actually talked about if we hadn't been able to sell the truck camper because we're wanting to go back summer of 27. So we were like, well, if we don't sell it, something happens, we can't sell the truck camper, we'll take it up there and sell it because, yeah,
Oh.
you can sell it for almost double the price in some instances because it's so expensive, I guess, to get them up there.
Was wondering too because I'm like, how many people are like, full timing? Like, how
Yeah,
many people are? And I guess it doesn't have to be full timers. It could just be,
yeah, yeah.
everyone's doing it weekend. But it did
Hmm.
surprise me to hear that. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good to know.
Hmm.
I am curious too. Road stuff. Have you ever been to Baja?
We have not been to Baja yet.
Okay.
That is awesome. That is on our list. That is the only place. Well, not the only place, but the main place that we have not been. We've been to Mexico several times, but we have not driven in an RV. That is
Okay.
on our list. We were going to do it this winter, actually. It was in the plans. And then something came up that we just couldn't say no to. And a free trip to the Keys is that's
Heck
hard to say no
yeah.
to.
Oh, absolutely. It was
Yeah.
basically like being in Mexico, very similar vibes, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exciting. I'm definitely Baja curious, but
Oh, yeah.
I still have reservations. But the more people I talk to, brings me a lot of
Yeah.
comfort. But like at first, when people were talking about, it, I'm like, I can't RV in Mexico. I can't bring my kids to Mexico. But I
Yeah.
am curious about the roads there too. Okay, so you've
Yeah.
also RV'd in Hawaii, right?
Did. Yes. Yeah.
So how did you manage that exactly, and what did that
Yeah.
journey look like?
So, I mean, it would have been awesome to be able to, like, ship our RV over there or something, but we went to Maui, and in Maui, and I would assume on the other islands as well, they're not big, like one of the states here or whatever. So
Uh-huh.
it's kind of hard. You wouldn't be able to take a big fifth wheel like we have. So to be able to RV in Hawaii, the best way to do it and the cheapest way to do it is you fly to Hawaii, Maui, Oahu, wherever you're going to go, and you can rent a van. You can rent an RV or a van. So if you do a van route, what we did is we picked it up right at the airport. The guy came, picked us up, took us right over to the van. It was just like right around the corner from the terminal. So if you've got the van, then you've got a vehicle to drive while you're there and you have a place to stay. So that was how we did that. But they do have a few travel trailers, but I think the way they did it or would do it is they would just take it to the campground and then you
Mhm.
just stay there. It wouldn't be where you would pull it around or anything.
Okay. Oh, that's a great tip. Did you
Hmm.
consider flying and just, like, doing the traditional Airbnb or hotel or even hopping? Or what made you really feel like you wanted to do the camper van experience in Hawaii?
Because we had already been to Hawaii 15 or no, Had to been longer than that. Oh, it was over 20 years ago, actually. I forget how many years, I'm so old. But so we were like, okay, we've already done Hawaii, same as we've done a lot of the states, but we didn't count any of those states unless we had actually RV'd in the state. So for us to
Ah,
count Hawaii as our 50th state or one of the 50 states that we've RV'd in, we had to actually RV in the state. So that was
oh
why
my gosh.
we have to do it. We have to do it in a van. So
That
that was what we
makes
did.
so much sense. Okay, yeah,
Hmm.
awesome, and I bet
Yeah.
it was a great way to see the island because you could see all types of areas. I'm sure that was amazing.
Hmm.
Is there any beachfront boondocking in Hawaii?
There is, however, what we read was it's mostly for locals.
Mm,
And so they kind of, I wouldn't say they don't want tourists there, but they kind of frown upon it. The locals do. So we like to respect when we are out traveling. We always respect the locals and the towns and whatever their laws and rules are. Even if it's not a law or rule or whatever, if they don't want tourists coming in and messing up their stuff, because some people do that. Obviously, we would not have messed anything up, but we don't want to take away from a local needing that spot. So we did
yeah.
pay and just stay at a campground, but some of them were right on the beach. We were on the beach, but we had to walk a little bit to the beach. We did get some shots. Like we went a couple of times. Shane went fishing. We went and just got some like really cool footage with the doors open and the ocean in the background, which,
Yes.
that's like a great shot. But we didn't
Yeah.
want to, yeah, we didn't want to stay. We like to
Yeah.
always,
100%. That's so
yeah.
conscientious and just so,
Hmm.
yeah, respectful. You don't want to make
Yeah.
it, we're like visitors in all the areas we go. And we want to make sure that, we
Yeah.
continue to be welcomed. And yeah, that's great.
Absolutely.
That's a good tip
Hmm.
too. Winter makes everyday things harder. Dead batteries, snowed in driveways, messy cars, and getting stuck when you least expect it. If you're anything like me, it's also always when you're already running late. That's why this episode is brought to you in part by eTrailer, because winter has a way of keeping us on our toes. Even when we try to snowbird, it always seems to find us somewhere, at least for a few days. So whether you're gearing up for winter or you're dealing with it as it comes, eTrailer helps keep you on the road with gear like tire chains, battery chargers, floor mats, and recovery equipment you can trust. The kind of gear you're glad you planned for when conditions change fast. Head over to eTrailer.com or click the link in the notes to find winter gear that fits your vehicle and handles whatever the season throws at you, so you can spend less time stressing about freezing and more time drinking hot toddies or skiing or whatever it is that brings you joy when that snow is falling. So you did hit your 50th state this year, right? What was
Hmm.
that final state that completed your map?
The final state was West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love West Virginia. I actually think West Virginia is such an underrated state.
Yeah.
Really, like I think it's so beautiful. Okay, that's cool. I'm like surprised.
Yeah.
It's always so interesting to hear
Yeah.
the last state when it's not Hawaii or Alaska.
Right. Yeah, exactly. We hadn't really done the East Coast much. And so that was what we did this summer. And so as we were coming back down to come back to Texas, that's like our home base. West Virginia was just happened to be the last one.
It must have felt really satisfying to put that
Yeah, it
final
was.
sticker on.
It
Yeah.
was very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. All right. So you've been all over in your RVs, right? So if your RV could roast you, can you think of
Mhm.
any insults it might deliver to you guys? Is there anything that you're just like chronically terrible at or forgetful or anything it might poke fun at?
Probably like packing up. I always forget something when we're packing up. Even as many times as we've done it, I'll forget to lock the medicine cabinet in the bathroom. I forget to lock the refrigerator, put the bars across the refrigerator shelves, whatever it might be. Yeah, so it would definitely roast me for forgetting, even though I like not preach, but I tell people like, make a list, and I have a list, but you know what? It helps if you look at that list before you before you go to pull off. There's been times where I forgot to get the chocks out or forget to put the chocks under the tire. Like that's
Mm.
my job for outside, is to make sure the chocks are under the tires. And I have forgotten that a few times. And then we'll be setting up and I'm like, oh, I forgot the chocks. Like we could have lost the camper. Like that's always my biggest
That's
fear, is
funny.
Shane will unhook the camper and it'll roll down somewhere. Which
Roll away.
Shane's like, it's on jack. The front jacks are down. It's not going to go anywhere. But I still, Yeah, you just never know. I mean, anything could happen. So,
Right? Yeah, it's freaky. And that's so relatable about the list. I am
Mhm.
like so overconfident in my ability to remember to do all the things. And I don't know why, because I
Yeah.
always forget something too. And it's always something that's in the slides where I'm like, I'm not opening the
Oh,
slides again. Like, I
yes.
can't even go back to do that. We're just going to have to roll with it.
Just see what happens.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, just gonna roll the dice
Mhm.
here. But yeah, I probably should make a list too. What would you say is the most random or unexpected place that you have ever spent the night in an RV?
Oh gosh, because we've boondocked in some. I mean, we've stayed at many Walmart parking lots
Hmm.
and Bass Pro. I will say, probably not. I wouldn't say crazy, but we did stay at like Cabela's in Alaska when we were there. When you're in Anchorage, there's not many places to stay for
Mm.
free there. Cabela's is one. I've never stayed at like they call it lot docking, if you're staying in a parking lot. Almost every single spot, like parking spot or whatever, was full in the whole entire place. I've
Wow.
never seen that many campers. And then there was a few places we stayed like right on the water when we were in Alaska, which is kind of scary if you think about because if you see the water in Alaska and their rivers and stuff, it is moving so fast.
Hmm.
I've never seen water move as fast as it does there. Like, I mean, if there had been a big rain or something, who knows what could have happened? I don't know. So we stayed in places that maybe we should not have been staying
Oh
because maybe they
yeah.
were not the safest place. I don't know. You think about it
Yeah.
after you leave, you're like, oh my gosh, what were we, what were we doing staying there?
Yeah, I definitely have some of those too, where I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, in retrospect, when I was thinking about leaving, that was when I should have left.
Mm.
Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Always
Hmm.
trust your gut. We
Yeah.
speaking of, we're lot docking at a Walmart. When we got there, a friend that was also staying there with us, she was like, I don't know what it is, but the guy behind me, I just don't have the best feeling about him or whatever. And I was like, should we leave? We should leave then if you don't feel comfortable with this guy back there. And then she was like, no, 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 I'm fine, I'm fine, I'm fine. Well, in the middle of the night, someone stole our paddle boards off the front of we had like a tray on the front of the camper, even though they were put on with like cables that were locked on there. I mean, they were still opened up where you could see them. But anyway,
Dang.
it was not that guy. But still, maybe we should have, if we had just left and went somewhere else. So I say
Yeah.
always trust your gut. And we should have trusted our gut. We should have just left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great advice, definitely. So, switching gears a little bit, I'm curious if you had to suggest a dollar amount of savings that a new RVer, like a new full time RVer, should
Uh-huh.
think about having before they hit the road, because, we know there's so many different repairs and unexpected costs. And I don't know about you, but it's been more expensive than I initially thought it would be.
Hmm.
What do you think that you'd say that number should be? And maybe we'll just do for a couple. We'll remove any
Yeah.
children elements,
Yeah.
but for a couple, what do you think that number should be?
It's hard to say. I would say at least between 5 and 10,000. That's on the low side.
Mhm.
Like that would be just any repairs that come up or anything that you might need to buy. Cause also when you get out traveling, you're like, oh, I didn't realize I was going to need that or whatever. Also suggest don't go out and buy all the stuff before you do go full time. Cause sometimes you realize too, you don't really need some of the stuff. But yeah, there will be times where you're going to have stuff you didn't realize you needed. And this is all, I would say that's like a savings,
Mhm.
just have that put aside just for any emergencies or whatever might come up. You might have to stay at a hotel or something. Your RV may need to go in the shop and you may need a hotel. So yeah, I would say 5 to 10,000 to be on the
Mhm.
safe side.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good number, definitely. I'm
Mhm.
always curious what other people's thoughts are. I think it
Yeah,
always depends how many repairs someone has seen and how many what their luck
that's
has
true.
been,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I am just, yeah, always curious. All right, so before we talk a little bit about your travels before you hit the road full time, let's play a
Hmm.
quick game of Live, Visit, Exile. So I'm going to
Hmm.
give you 3 locations. One you are going to live in, one you may
Hmm.
visit, but the other one you have to exile yourself from and you may never go there again.
Oh,
Okay?
all
So the
right.
first one is going to be Alaska,
Oh,
Hawaii, and Texas.
oh gosh. I would live in Alaska. Yeah, I think I could definitely live in I could, I don't know if Shane could because he doesn't like the cold, but but I love Alaska. I could live there. I guess I would have to be exiled from Hawaii, and only because I have to come to Texas and visit because that's where our sons live.
Okay. Oh, that one
Yeah.
surprised me. I thought for sure
Mhm.
you're gonna pick living in Texas. Okay. Yeah, good to know.
Yeah.
I could certainly not make it in Alaska. I'm like if
Yeah.
it's below 70, I'm struggling. But yeah,
I
I was
do
not
miss the
made for the
sun, though,
cold.
if there's yeah, like, the winter would be probably
Oh, that'd
hard
be
to get
so
used
hard.
to.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That would be a whole experience for sure. All right, so your next one, we have the Grand Canyon,
Mm.
Olympic, or the Great Smoky Mountains. So which one would you like to live in, visit, or exile yourself from?
I would live in probably the Great Smoky Mountains. I love the Great Smoky Mountains, and it's had, like, a special place in my heart because 'cause I'm from Georgia, and so when I was growing up, we would go there a lot to Great Smoky Mountains. Cause so I would live there, and it's close to my family in Georgia, and I would visit the Olympic National Park because it's so beautiful there. I mean, it would actually be a hard choice between living there and the Great Smoky Mountains, and then probably exile the Grand Canyon, only because I've been. It's
Mhm.
amazing to see, but it's kind of one of those places where you're like, okay, been there, seen the whole, even though it's
Yeah,
much better than it's not just a hole. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful place. And I think everyone should go. That should definitely be on everyone's bucket list.
yeah.
And yeah, to go to the Grand Canyon. But yeah, I could exile from there since I've been.
That makes sense. I also think,
Mhm.
like, yeah, Grand Canyon, amazing. However, it has a little bit of a different vibe than some of the other national parks. There's
True.
the infrastructure there is like really intense and like the tour, like
Mhm.
the buses and that type of stuff. So it does change the vibe a little bit. Like it is incredible, but I feel like you're not really as connected to nature, in my
Mhm.
opinion,
Yeah,
visiting
yeah.
there, even hiking down as some of the others where you like really feel like you're out there?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
When I first started learning about RV power systems for boondocking, I'll be honest, it felt overwhelming. Amps, inverters, solar, suddenly I felt like I needed an engineering degree just to turn a light on. That's why I really appreciate Battle-Born batteries. They're a trusted name in RV lithium power with American assembled batteries proven in real RV and off-grid use. They're ideal for RVers who boondock or just want reliable power on the road, so you can spend less time troubleshooting and more time exploring. Battlemore now also offers inverters, solar panels, and complete power system setups, which makes upgrading way simpler. All right, so you have traveled all over before RVing. If there was a country that you had to live in that was not North America, where would it be and why?
Oof, that's a hard one. Oh golly. That's really hard.
I know, I've stumped
Um,
you.
Either maybe Portugal or Turkey. I don't know. It's
Oh,
hard. It's so hard to choose. Maybe Italy.
okay.
I don't know. I know. I'm sorry. That's so hard to choose. But
Yeah,
I
I
love,
mean, when
yeah,
you've been a lot of places, it's tough to decide. Is there
yeah.
any place that you immediately were like, "No, not that one?"
Oh, probably Egypt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like I loved Egypt. It's also one of those places like, okay, been there, done that.
Mhm.
I've seen the pyramids, all the stuff. And only because when we went, I felt safe. I don't know that I would feel so safe going now. I feel like
Yeah, that
it's
makes
not as
sense.
safe as it used to be, but I didn't when we went. And who knows because, you know how the news is. It makes some things seem scarier than
For sure,
they
yep.
actually are. But yeah, I don't know that I would go back to Egypt. It was amazing to go. And we did a Nile cruise, all kinds of stuff. I don't know that I would want to live there.
Okay,
But
that's
most
good to
countries
know.
I would definitely consider living there. Absolutely.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, were there any really strange experiences that you had traveling internationally or anything that was, like, really a culture shock type of experience where you were just like, "Wow, my mind is blown"?
Yeah. Maybe Egypt. Actually, yeah. I think because it was one of the first countries where I went where the police are walking around with big machine guns. I had never like we don't see that in the US. You see a cop
Mhm.
and it's in their pocket or on their side holster or whatever, but it's just a little pistol or whatever they call it. I don't know.
Right,
But anyway,
yeah.
yeah, so there's like they're walking around with machine guns. So that was probably the first time that I had, seen anything like that. Also,
Yeah.
Turkey was the same way. Yeah, they were just the police there would just walk around with machine guns. So that was just kind of a like culture shock. Also, there was a couple of countries that we went to that were, I would say, almost third world,
Mhm.
countries. So it's just hard to see that the way that other people live that we take for granted that we're, like even if living in a camper or whatever is better than a lot of these people's houses and stuff. They're
Mhm.
just kind of
Yeah.
shacks and
That
stuff. So it's just hard to see that sometimes.
For sure. That's always
Mhm.
really, really difficult. I haven't been a ton of places internationally, but I know when we've been to Mexico, it's like
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
just hard. It's tricky. You wanna, like, help, but you don't
Right.
really know. Okay, so
Mhm.
switching gears a little bit. Y'all are
Sure.
absolutely crushing the social media game, and you're
Oh,
such
thank you.
supportive members of the community. So much of your content is super helpful, and I'm sure you've just prevented so many newbies from absolute disaster. But I do wonder, what advice would you give to a rising content creator?
Oh, wow. So I would say just consistency. I think that's the hardest thing for people is if you want to be a content creator, it almost has to become your life. Like you're either thinking about how my reel did or what reel am I going to do next or what idea can I give or tip I can give next. It just kind of becomes I mean, it is a full-time job, but I absolutely love it. So if you don't love making a video and you don't love that kind of stuff, then I would say, it's maybe not for you. You have to really love it to be able to put your whole everything into it and be passionate about it. But yeah, just consistency, make sure you're constantly, I would say at least 3 to 5 times a week, post on there and then make sure that you're engaging with other people in your same niche, like all the other RVers. And I don't do that just for my social media. Like I do that because like I genuinely care about other RVers and I really care about other RVers that are content creators. Like I love to support other people. But yeah, and my biggest thing is when you go to post something, make sure it is either something that's funny or something that's helpful and something that you think someone's going to share. Like if
Mhm.
I share a tip about like what filter to use, whatever it might be for your RV or whatever, then make sure it's something that you're like, "Oh, somebody could probably use this and they're probably going to share it with on their story or share it with their friends or something like that." So if it's something that is going to help someone or make them laugh, that's the best thing you can do.
Yeah,
I love
okay,
making
that's
people laugh also.
yeah, that's such great advice. I really, yeah, it really resonates. And I think it's so key, like what you said, you do have to love it. And then it
Mhm.
was also so funny, like it becomes your life. Like, yeah, you never
Yeah.
feel like you're off. You feel like you always have
True.
these glasses on where you're like scanning your current situation.
Mhm.
Like, is there an opportunity here? Is there something?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Which can
yeah.
be frustrating sometimes, because I try to make sure that I'm living in the moment as well, because we are seeing and experiencing some amazing places. So there's always a balance that you have to, yeah, I need content, but I also want to really enjoy this and see it for the first time, for me and my husband to see it together. Yeah.
Yes, for sure. And I just want to be like,
Mhm.
let me just give myself permission to shut
Yeah.
off that part of my brain and
Right.
just enjoy like whatever my kids are doing at that moment. That's great advice. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
sharing that.
Absolutely.
Have you had any videos that you had considered posting? Maybe you have it in your drafts or something, but then you
Mhm.
ultimately decided that you couldn't. I actually thought about this because recently we were in Moab and we were at one of
Mhm.
the arches and it was during the shutdown. And there was a guy who was actually defacing the arch. He was like, I know, I was so mad and I'm like, a little spicy. So I did yell at this gentleman. And then
Mhm.
he stopped, but he tried to be like, it's just sandstone. And I don't know what that meant, but I was like, you cannot carve on this. And
Yeah.
then around the corner, though, he then had some buddies that had like some prison tattoos. And then I was like, oh, have I made an error here? And it turned out fine. But the walk back to the truck, there weren't a ton of people around. I was slightly nervous. But anyway, I had the footage of it and I was going to make a reel. And then I was like, I don't really know that I can post this. Like, what if this got back to this guy? I don't know what's going on. So I ultimately just decided to drop it. So have you ever had anything like, it doesn't have to be like that level, that serious, but anything that you thought
Yeah.
you were going to post and then you were like, no, 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 I can't post this.
Oh, yeah. That's happened to me several times. I mean, I think that the more that I've done content, though, the more I'm kind of a little spicier. I won't say spicy, but, like I was trying to be, oh, I'm prim and proper or whatever, but like sometimes too, I feel like, okay, I need to be myself. Like I cuss, I drink. But yeah, for a long time, I was afraid to post like a video with us with like a beer in our hand or even put like a cuss word on the screen, even though I don't put the whole word, I might put some little stars in
Hmm.
front of it or whatever. But
Yeah.
I think that's mostly it. I mean, I do have probably 50 drafts in my reels drafts, but that's just because I'm crazy and I just constantly am sitting there thinking of reel ideas. There's some that's been in there for at least over a year. And I'm just like, I don't think that one's going to do well. At the moment, I'll say, oh, that's going to be I think that'll be a good one. But then the more I think about it, I talk myself out of it sometimes.
Yeah.
And there has been some instances. We were boondocking one time. This lady she had saved like 2 or 3 spots out there. It was a very busy little spot where people were boondocking. One of the only ones in Sedona. And this lady had put up rocks all around this whole area to kind of save or whatever she was doing. I don't know. It looked like she'd been kind of living there or something. She'd been there for a long time. So I made a reel about it. And that was a few times afterwards. I didn't show the lady or anything like that, but I showed the rocks and I'm like, what do you think? Is this like, should you do this or whatever? And sometimes whenever I get a lot of hate on a video, I think to myself, should I delete it, or whatever? But I haven't done that yet where I go back and delete a video. But yeah, there are some times where I'm like, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't post that. So yeah, I totally get it for
Yeah,
sure.
that makes so much sense. I'm always trying to figure out, okay, so backstory. I had a different page before I started this one, but it was related to, I was a school counselor previously, so it was related to mental
Ah,
health and like school counselor advocacy. But on that one,
mhm.
I wasn't joking around. There were no swear words, right? It wasn't super fun. And then so when I got to this page, I was like, this is my chance. Like, now it would be fun. But then it was like maybe sometimes a little too unhinged. And I'd have to like, ask my husband a lot. I'm like, is this too much? And he'd kind of be like, yeah, like maybe, yeah. But and then I also get very worried, though, about offending people. But what I've noticed is that I offend
Mhm.
people on stuff that I literally was not even on my radar that it might
Yeah.
offend someone. So then I
Mhm.
have to like kind of let go of that because I think that's just unavoidable. Like I don't
Yeah.
know how to make everyone happy. And I think
Mhm.
I have to let
Absolutely.
go of that, but it always worries me because I don't want to I don't want to trigger anyone. I don't want to make anyone feel upset, but like sometimes
Yeah.
I will ask questions or maybe it will be something that's like, I don't know. I don't want to say controversial because that seems too strong of a word. You just never know how people are going to react, but
That's true.
that's just interesting hearing that even as experienced as you are with it, you kind of go through that that same
Oh, yeah.
struggle.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. But yeah, you're right. You're never going to make every single, like, it doesn't matter what the video is or whatever. Somebody's always going to have something negative to say. That's another thing, too, about being a content creator. You just have to get to the point where you're like, I don't care. Like,
For
because
sure.
somebody's always going to either be mean or they're going to say something nasty or they're going to be offended, whatever it might be. And yeah, you just have to learn to let it roll off what do they say? Roll off the duck's, like, I don't know, whatever the
Yeah.
saying is. I don't know. I'm
Right.
horrible at that.
Yeah.
Always going to be
Yeah.
somebody that you might offend, even though you don't mean
Yeah.
to.
No, I don't want
Yeah.
to. It just keeps
Yeah,
happening.
exactly.
And I've noticed, like, and it is just people, I think a lot of them that for whatever reason, they're highly offended by the lifestyle. So then they
Hmm.
just take
Yeah.
whatever that they want to pick apart, even though they're all of a sudden then talking about my hair. And I'm just like, why are we going there? But they're
Yeah,
mad
exactly.
about something random. Before we play a quick game of Would You Rather, I would be surprised if you aren't already following Gills on Wheels. So if you're not, make sure you follow them for all the RV hot tips. Now for a few Would You Rather questions, Patty.
Okay.
Would you rather have your camera roll leaked with no filtering or editing, or have your Amazon order history leaked?
Oh, gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't know that I've ordered anything crazy off of Amazon, but maybe my camera roll. I don't know. There's not like no naked pictures in there or anything. But there's, I mean, some videos where, yeah, they look pretty bad or my pictures look bad or something, then yeah,
Uh-huh.
I would say that would be it, yeah.
Okay, okay. Good one. I'd probably go with that too. Well, I mean, my kids grab my phone and then sometimes I see the pictures that they have
Oh,
taken
that's
of me
funny.
and I'm like,
Mhm.
that can't see anyone else's eyes outside
Yeah,
this family.
exactly.
All right. So
Mhm.
would you rather forget your coffee on a travel day or
Mm.
forget your toilet paper while boondocking and there's no campground restrooms?
Oh, definitely forget I would rather forget my coffee. Even though I love my coffee, I have to have it, but yeah, I need some toilet paper. I've gotta have toilet paper.
I love how that we've circled back to the importance of toilet paper here now in this
Yes, yeah,
conversation.
exactly.
Come full circle.
Full
I
circle
love it.
back to the toilet paper.
Yes. Well, oh my goodness, Patty, thank you so much for being on the Take the Trip podcast. It was great learning more about your journey. And if you're still listening out there, thank you so much for being here. I would love to hear your feedback over on Take the Trip fam and any suggestions you may have for future guests. Safe travels out there. Don't unbuckle just yet. I have a very interesting song that I guarantee you've never heard before, and I just had to share it with y'all to wrap up this episode. And thank you again to eTrailer for supporting the show and helping to make my podcasting dreams a reality. Remember to head to eTrailer.com or check the link in the notes to stay ready for whatever winter throws at you.
Started out in North Dakota, boots in the mud on base. Weekend 10 in a windy field, first taste of open space. Packed that trunk with way too much, learned fast what really counts. A roll of white gold in the glove box, when the rest of it runs out with Gills on Wheels. Rolling with the long road feels like a front porch swing on a set of steel. From frozen nights to island deals, yeah, we've seen some world re-reveal. Ask us what to pack, we'll keep it real. Give us good friends, good views, and toilet paper in the bathroom. We're Gills on Wheels. We're Gills on Wheels. Chase the northern sun to Alaska, where the mountains scrape the sky. Watch the midnight glow on the water with the RVs rolling by. Hopped a van on the sand in Hawaii, woke up to waves on the door. Film coffee, steam in the sunrise, bare feet on the cool floor. We're Gills on Wheels. Rolling where the long road feels like a front porch swing on a set of steel. From frozen nights to island deals, yeah, we've seen some world reveal. Ask us what to pack, we'll keep it real. Give us good friends, good views, and toilet paper in the bathroom. We're Gills on Wheels. We're Gills on Wheels. Oh, we're Gills on Wheels. We've walked old stones out in Egypt, dusting our boots, heating our eyes. Some trips hit like a postcard, some just pass us by. But park us near that RV family, firing and folding chairs. We'll trade tall tales about border stamps and spare rolls like we trade spare tires. We're Gills on Wheels.